The food industry is the largest industry in the world. The University of Western Australia, we are globally ranked number 9. Lack of knowledge among young students and parents, what is being taught and what are the opportunities in agriculture, science and technology. In Australia, on an average, about 3,000 to 5,000 jobs are advertised per year. Remember, all universities are not offering agriculture, science and technology.
My name is Daryl Fong. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of AECC. Welcome to the AECC podcast series, Why Study Agriculture Technology and Environmental Science? Well, with the global population expected to reach 9.7 billion by 2050, there is a need for efficient and sustainable food production. Climate changes are forcing innovation in precision farming, drought-resistant crops, and vertical farming. Agriculture technology and environmental science have been cited as fast-growing and excellent fields to study, especially as the world faces challenges mentioned earlier, such as climate change, population growth, and food security. Now, if you're interested in technology, sustainability, and global impact, this is a high-growth, future-proof field with meaningful career options. So I'm pleased to introduce our guest speaker for the session, Professor Kadambot Siddique, who is the Director of the University of Western Australia, or UWA Institute of Agriculture. He was the winner of the Western Australia Scientist of the Year in 2023. Hi, Professor Siddique. Welcome to the session. Would you mind please introduce briefly yourself to our audience?
Thank you, Daryl. I'm Kadambot Siddique, the Hackett Professor of Agriculture and the Director of the University of Western Australia's Institute of Agriculture.
As I mentioned earlier, agriculture technology and environmental science is a growing area in many countries' future manpower planning. Why do you think there's such a huge demand and emphasis on it by the governments?
So if you look at Daryl, the food industry is the largest industry in the world. So no other industry is as huge as food industry because everyone needs to eat food at least 3 times, but some cases 4 or 5 times. The whole humanity depends upon food produced largely from the land and the animals we raise. There are a number of challenges, as you mentioned. The global population is increasing, the climate change is happening, and also the land is limited. So that means we have to produce more food per unit area. The modern transportation and storage allows us to transport food produced from one country to the other. So there are 2 players. One is net food exporters and there are net food importers. So there are countries where food is produced sufficiently, but they still need to import food from net food exporters.
Thank you. What advice would you give to students when choosing to study this program, particularly in areas which course will suit their strength or their educational background?
So as you mentioned, Daryl, both agriculture science, technology and environmental science are very important. Both are interlinked because we need to know the environment, we need to know the soil biology, and of course, we need to know how the plants grow. And in case with animal scientists, we also need to know how the animals perform by feeding the plants which we grow and make the food. This is an important area because agricultural science and technology is advancing rapidly, but at the same time, we want to make sure that environmental sustainability is maintained while we increasing the food productivity and production and also the nutritional balance of the global population.
Thank you. Professor Siddique, do you think these degrees are considered professional or academic degrees, which obviously lead me to ask about its recognition in different parts of the world? How is it being accepted, by the various bodies for job employment?
So degrees, agriculture science globally has been reshaped over the years. Getting back to the University of Western Australia, our agriculture science and technology has got both elements. That is, we need to understand the students need to understand the basic science and also how you translate that to the application. So in a way, it is a professional degree as well, but it has got fantastic basic science. After all, agriculture is the mother of all sciences. What we do in agriculture, we need plant biology, we need soil science, we need genetics, we need breeding, and then we apply all that into what we call agronomy. Agros means field, nomos means manage. And the same applies to environmental science. Again, we need to know the ecological principles. How do you apply that on a landscape? And then the challenge is bringing environmental science and agriculture together hand in hand so that we can have a protective and sustainable food production system locally, regionally, and globally.
And what advice would you give to a student on choosing an institution which offered these programs? Should they look into anything specifics within institutions, such as the caliber of the staff, the facilities, or recognition bodies, etc.?
I think all of those combinations are important. The first thing is that the student needs to know what part of the agriculture, technology, science they need to study. For example, some students want to study horticulture science, which is part of the agriculture. Some students want to study animal production technology. Other students want to do genetics and breeding, soil science. But the first and foremost thing is look at the institutions globally and how they are in ranking in terms of the quality of the staff, the quality of the university, the facilities available, how close they are to the farming community, and their national and international reputation is very important. So what makes a great university is, number one, the quality and the prestige of the teachers, the professors, the quality of the students. So we wanted to get high quality students, particularly to UWA, and the infrastructure. If you don't have the right laboratories and so on. So in a way, at the University of Western Australia, we are globally ranked number 9 in the world in agriculture science and number 1 in Australia in the academic ranking of world universities. Similarly, we are also ranked very high in environmental science. That's a combination of the quality of the teachers, the kind of research we do, and how we have this research integrated with teaching, and then our facilities and infrastructure. So the student must choose what they want to do, where they want to go, based on some of these criteria.
And some of the conversations that we have with our students and institutions, one of the challenges at many institutions is trying to persuade students, particularly from South Asia and even Southeast Asia, from not just considering only business degrees, computer science, or engineering degrees, but they should also explore other areas. Would one of these areas be agriculture, technology, and environmental science? And why do you think that's so?
I think partly because a lot of people, the parents and peers, doesn't know what agriculture science and technology and environmental science offer. As I mentioned earlier, we have all kinds of science we studying and utilizing in agriculture science and technology. For example, let us take genetics and breeding. We need to know the cell biology, the molecular biology, genomics, and bioinformatics, how to utilize that data. Take technology side of things, we need to have drone technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, sensors. All these technologies are utilized to solve the wicked problems in agriculture and food production. Take food science as an example. Food science and technology is very advanced in the world because we want to get the best nutrition, we want to get the best processing technology in terms of food science. And agribusiness, for example, is an important area where the economics and principles of the business is applied so that the farmers can produce and make it profitable and so on. So the whole logistic, for example, the environmental science includes greenhouse gas emission. How can we abate greenhouse gas pollution? How can we reduce the greenhouse gas emission? How can we have better soil sustainability? What are the possibilities of both environmental sustainability and food production system? So I think partly because lack of knowledge among young students and parents, what is being taught and what are the opportunities in agriculture, science and technology.
Well, I hope this podcast is a useful platform to raise the awareness of the program. Professor Siddique, what are the current job opportunities looking like, and would there be a day in the near future where there aren't enough jobs to go by?
This is what I have been saying, that if you look at agriculture and food industries, the largest industry in the world, can start from the farm all the way, transportation, storage, processing, go to the supermarket, take a basket of foods produced. All these are coming from the farm, from the plants, from the animals. And there's a huge amount of science and technology. We are very fortunate globally, and in countries like Australia, we produce enormous amount of food. So the job market is enormous. For example, in Australia, on an average per year, about 3,000 to 5,000 jobs are advertised per year in agriculture and related areas. But the total number of students coming out from various universities, remember, all universities are not offering agriculture, science and technology. So it's only about 700 to 800 graduates are coming out. So there's a lot of jobs, whether it is the agriculture-related business, agribusiness, whether it is the agronomist job, plant breeding job. Some people want to take up honors and masters and do research and become PhD. The scientist, banking, all kinds of things. Big companies, multinational companies, government officials, CSIRO, universities, and of course, if you look at it globally, similar situation existed. So the potential is enormous. It's a matter of choosing the right thing and doing your best and aiming for that.
Thank you. And for this course, what are the scope and assessment of the program in terms of learning expectations? Are there many field works or internship which is part of the assessment of the program?
Yes. So we have, as you expect, there will be quite a lot of classroom-based teaching. A lot of this teaching are done where we contextualize not just the theory. You take live examples and then work through groups and demonstrate those things. So that way there is field trips available. University of Western Australia has got a large farm, 1,600 hectares, about 2 hours southwest of Western Australia. And again, some of the units will be taught there. We'll also have opportunities for what we call internship program with industry, agri-business industry within Western Australia, the farmer group, cooperative bulk handling, the fertilizer companies, and so on. It is one of those where we work with the industry and also we bring practical application by bringing guest lectures into some of our units.
And last questions for the program. As the staff of the universities, would you mind sharing why students should consider studying agriculture technology and environmental science at the University of Western Australia in 2026 and beyond?
So, University of Western Australia is a very prestigious university. We were established in 1911, so it's almost 114 years old. And ag science and environmental science are one of the pillars of the strength of the university in terms of regional, national, and global reputation. We are ranked very high. And Perth and Western Australia is very much one of the hot biodiversity spots. Not only that, we are only just less than 80 to 100 kilometers from the grain belt of Western Australia. The other thing is that for dryland agriculture and technology, we are one of the world leaders because we produce a substantial amount of food, grains, and animals from very low rainfall. So the technological advancement, connection with the farming community, connection with the industry, and more importantly, the global researchers such as India, China, Indonesia, we have significant connection with those countries in addition to our traditional counterparts like United States, Europe, and Canada, and so on. So it's a beautiful place to come and study, world-class researchers and teachers, excellent facilities, and potential application wherever you go. That's why I really encourage young minds to take up both agriculture science and technology and environmental science as their program, because the world needs critical and clever minds to solve some of the wicked problems which you alluded in the introduction, Daryl. And that's why I really request the students to consider University of Western Australia as a target university.
And on behalf of every one of us at AECC, thank you very much for your time, Professor Siddique, for sharing your time and also the knowledge.